Hey y'all, welcome back to my channel, or welcome to my channel if you are new here. My name is Emily, and on this channel we talk about disability advocacy as well as mental illnesses with my experience with being legally blind as well as having depression and anxiety. And in this video I want to talk to y'all about some stereotypes about a person who is legally blind. Some of these also fall under just like being fully blind, basically anyone with vision loss. But remember, it is a spectrum, just like the autism spectrum, deaf spectrum. Not two people who are blind will have the same the same visual acuity, abilities, or preferences. So what I'm about to talk to y'all about today, I will mention some stereotypes or misconceptions, and then I will share how I feel about them. Keep in mind, this is how I feel, right? There may be another person who is blind or visually impaired who has a different opinion, and that's okay. I'm here to express my own. And if y'all would like to confirm, play the devil's advocate, ask questions, please do so in the comments below. And before I begin, I do just want to say, please like this video as it tells me the types of content that you all want to see. Please, if you want to see more content like this, subscribe to my channel so that you will know whenever I upload a new video. Okay, and you know what? My goal is to reach one person out there who may be going through similar things or who wants to know more and help break down those stereotypes between the disabled and able-bodied communities, okay? I just feel like I need to educate others out there and advocate for myself and other people who maybe they're not comfortable of using their voice to help do this, and that's, where I come in. It's my goal, just to help one person out there, so... Anyways, let's get into today's video. One more thing. So this clip, I'm not sure how I feel about it. I don't know if y'all follow Laura Lee. She's in the beauty community, and she recommended these clips. Let me just tell you. Okay, I love pearls. But so I got these off of her recommendation, and they're huge. And part of me is still like, I don't really want to look like a child because I know I have a young face. I'm 25 and I know I look really young. But I'm like, let me try these hair accessories. But it's huge. I don't know how I feel about it. But it was cheap. I do like cheap. Anyways, let's get into today's video. The first thing I want to talk about is the idea of if you are legally blind, just throw on a pair of glasses or contacts and you'll be good to go. This is not the case, because if a person is legally blind, that means they have a visual acuity of 2200 or more with corrective lenses. So no, it cannot be corrected to 20/20 vision. They're legally blind with and without corrective lenses. Because I can't tell you how many people I have come into contact with who say, oh yeah, I'm totally blind. When in actuality, they are not. They wear glasses with like a 0.5, negative 0.5, positive 0.5, prescription, and then suddenly they've got like perfect vision, like, whoa, yeah, not the case. Also, I remember when I was in like high school, there was this girl at my school, and she was like, oh my gosh, I'm so blind, when she wore glasses and she could sit in the back of the class. Meanwhile, I'm sitting front row, still can't see the presentation on hand. But she thought she was cool, she wanted the attention. I don't know. I'm not legally blind to be cool or get attention. In fact, I do not want to be the center of attention at all. So yeah, visual conversations are always interesting to listen to. I do think the vision is so interesting. I mean, just the whole thing with like how we see colors and people see colors differently. Like, do you remember the whole pictures about like what color is this dress, green or blue, or what was that thing? Do you remember that? It went around Facebook like viral forever. And the pair of shoes, there were so many. Black and gold. If y'all remember what that was, leave it in the comment below. But vision is interesting, and I don't, like, it's not that I think people shouldn't talk about vision, I just think they should be careful and know the terminology, because, one thing I've talked about is I'm always, like, the only one in school or the workplace, wherever I am, who's legally blind. And if I couldn't meet one more person who would understand what it's like, And I'm like, oh, awesome, no way, let's talk. And then come to find out, they're like, oh no, I've got like 20/80 or whatever. Or I put on glasses and I have 20/20. It's like, okay. So it's cool, like I'll still talk to you, but just be careful of how you use the terminology, use it correctly. Anyways. The one other stereotype is people who are blind or visually impaired, their senses are suddenly so good, right? Their eyesight's bad, all their other senses are amazing. They're heightened, right? Well, the truth is they are not automatically heightened. You actually have to train yourself to adapt, right? So like I've been legally blind since I was born. So I have been this way my whole life. Personally, my sense of hearing, I have trained myself to rely more on my hearing, right? So it's not suddenly better. You have to train yourself to be that way. My sense of smell, yes, I rely more on that. And so, you just train yourself for it. Also, like cane users, people who are more on the extreme level of like have more vision loss, they may have the cane and use echolocation to help, see where the doorways are, where the walls are, and things like that. You can literally train yourself to do that. I'm not trained in echolocation, but I'm just saying, like, you train your body for it. So I just rely more on my hearing. Like, this was always interesting when I would walk around my college campus and I was going to cross streets. I love music and I would try to listen to music when I go on walks, but it never failed. Like anytime I cross the street, I had to turn it off because I can hear when cars are coming around the corner or on this road or that road. I could tell all of that, right? So if I had headphones in, suddenly it was like, oh my gosh, I was like paranoid and, I didn't trust my instincts at all. So yes, I rely on my hearing. I actually have to sleep with a box fan or I will stay awake all night because I hear noises outside, right? I hear a frog in the yard. I hear cars. I hear their music blasting when they go down the road. Like I hear people walking. It's insane. Like I just can't, right? So I have to sleep with a box fan at night so that I can sleep. There is also this idea that people who are blind or visually impaired have sleeping issues. I think it has something to do with like this thing in your body, like how do I explain this? The whole night and day transition that like your body has. If you don't have that light perception, then you may not know like, okay, when is it time for bed? When is it not, right? So they have trouble sleeping. I do have insomnia, but I also have anxiety. So while I don't necessarily think I fall under the idea that I have insomnia because of my vision loss, I just happen to have insomnia. I don't know if I can't sleep because I'm anxious or I'm anxious because I can't sleep. It's a funny thing. I do take prescription sleep medication that helps me, but that's an interesting thing. Some people who have vision loss do have insomnia. There have actually been studies done on that. Just thought I would share because while it may be a stereotype that not every blind person falls into, they can. Just an interesting topic to discuss. And the other is that if you know or come into contact with someone who's blind or visually impaired, that maybe you shouldn't talk to them directly, or I've seen this happen because you don't know if they can do the same things you do, right? Like, let's say you see someone who has a clip or who has a blush on that you like, or you like their lip color, right? But you're like, I don't know if I can talk to them. I don't know if they did it themselves. Like, I'm just not going to talk to them because I'm afraid of offending them or saying the wrong thing, or I just don't know what to say, right? Well, if you are nervous to talk to someone who may have a disability, but you want to, it's better to actually try and talk to them than to avoid it, right? Than to talk to someone with them like, oh man, I really like her lip color. That will actually be worse than if you would try to talk to someone and then so they like understand that, okay, you want to talk to them, but like, let's say they have something that keeps them from replying back to you or something, it's better to try and to have that person explain, oh, well, you know, I didn't put my lipstick on myself because I can't, but, or I have difficulty with that, but thank you. I do love this lip color. It's, you know, color pop, a lippy stick, you know, whatever. It's better for you to try to communicate with someone than to avoid it because you don't want to say the wrong thing, right? Because then it's like, oh, I know I'm being excluded, right? That is worse than you trying and them educating you, right? So like, I want people to approach me. I want someone to wave at me even if I can't see them because I want to have to explain that to them, right? That's the only way that we're going to move forward, is to try. Do not be afraid to try to talk to someone because you may actually learn that, oh, they can actually talk back, right? Like, or they can do their own makeup. And then once you get to know them, it actually starts breaking those stereotypes. You may not know, but it's better to ask someone directly. Say, oh, did you do your makeup yourself? Oh, it's beautiful. I love it. You know, just as an example. That wasn't really a stereotype, more of just like a tip that I wanted to share based off of experiences I've been through that I've talked about in previous videos. One stereotype is that whenever you are with someone or talking to someone who is visually impaired or blind, is that you shouldn't use sensory words like see, look, things like that. While there is some truth to the fact, like if you are talking to someone who is fully blind, who maybe only has depth perception, or not depth perception, light and shadow perception, then maybe you shouldn't say something like, look at me and copy me, right? You shouldn't do that, but it doesn't mean you have to eliminate those words from your, it doesn't mean you have to stop saying it, right? So like, I would rather you include me in a conversation, even if I have to come back to you and explain, oh, well, I can't see that far. If someone's like, oh, wow, look at those birds in the distance, I'd rather be like, oh, where are they? Oh, what do they look like? It's too far for me to see, but let's talk about it, right? It excites you. I want to hear about it. I want to try. And if I can't, I will tell you about that. Rather than you be like, oh my gosh, those birds are so pretty, but you can't see it anyway. Let me just, I'm not gonna tell you about it. No, I want you to include me, even if I can't see it. Those words like look or see are part of the everyday vocabulary. That's the word I couldn't think of a minute ago. I'm sorry, mom brain is strong. But yeah, and it's interesting because like whenever you listen to, say, Molly Burke, for instance, who does have the shadow and light perception, but she can't really remember colors because sight is like one of those short-term memory things. It's not something that you hold, right? She can, I think it's purple, she can still remember because that was the last color she saw, but like she can pass as sighted. So like whenever someone is talking to her, she looks them at their face where they're talking from. It's not like she's looking at the floor, right? She also doesn't mind those words being in the conversation because she'd rather be included, right? And I am like the same way. Even if I can't see something in the distance, or I can't see that you're waving at me down the hall, or you know, we're talking about something that may be harder for me to see, I would rather you include me and me have to explain, I can't see that, but I can see this part, right? Oh, yeah, I can see that there's something in the distance. That must be a bird. That must be cool. I don't want you to be like, oh, nothing, you can't see it anyways. You know, that would be rude. And everyone with sight is used to using those words in their vocabulary. It's harder to stop using it completely, right? So it's okay. Don't worry about saying the wrong. Don't worry about saying something that may be harder for us to do. That's life. We are used to it, right? So that's okay. Maybe, you know, maybe be careful. Like if you say, oh, watch me do this, maybe ask them, hey, I want to show you something, but I'm not sure if you'll be able to. Is it okay if I still ask you? You know, don't be afraid to ask them. It's okay. I think the point that I'm trying to reiterate here, and I hope that y'all pick up on this, is try. It's better to ask or to try or to include than to exclude based on the fear of them not being able to do something, because then that's a whole other issue of exclusion, right? Be inclusive, be adaptable, and willing to learn, right? That also means that me as someone with a visual impairment has to be open to discussion. Not every blind person is, but it's a learning experience, right? And I think that we all need to go through that and learn, and try to break those stereotypes. So those are just a few stereotypes. Another one is that people who are blind or visually impaired cannot live independently or work. And that is not the case. Now, it's harder, certainly, for us to live independently or work without the proper training or adaptive technology and accessibility, certainly. And while it is true that it is harder to get a job with a disability, it doesn't mean we can't. And that's a whole another video on itself that I may or may not make, but like employment for people with a disability. I know the job that I have now, it's customer service support. Initially, they were like, we don't have voiceover with the tools that we use for work right now. And I was like, oh, I actually don't need to use voiceover. I use built-in Zoom capabilities because I can see things. It's just reading I have to do close up. So I use the built-in Zoom function on my Mac. And that works for me. And they were like, oh, okay. And I know now that they actually have fully implemented voiceover on all of their tools, which is awesome. Yay for accessibility. But, at first they didn't. And also, whenever I applied for the job, I put, like, when you apply for a job and they ask if you have a disability, and it has like a whole thing about ADA and inclusion and accessibility. It's like, yes, I have a disability, no, or I prefer not to say. I always put I prefer not to say because here's the thing. This sucks. Like, when you have a disability, people will see something on a piece of paper and they have all these what ifs and fears in their head, like, oh, what if they can't do it, right? Because they don't know. So I don't want to put that on a piece of paper and be judged by a piece of paper. I want to look you in the eyes and explain and tell you who I am and why I'm an asset to your company, based on my empathy that I have because of my disability, right? I'm empathetic, understanding. I'm a great listener. I have a passion for helping other people, no matter what it is. Even if I'm helping them with their issue they called in for that minute, if I can help someone for 5 minutes of the day, great, I want someone to get to know me. So I will tell my employers after I meet them, after I talk to them, after they're like, wow, you would be a great asset for the company. And I'm like, yes. And by the way, I want you to be aware I have this issue. I have the tools and technology that I need to succeed. You don't have to worry about that. If I need something else, I will let you know. But I just want you to know, I want you to be honest, but I am fully capable of performing in this job. I've never had an employer deny me because of it. Thankfully, I know that people have. And because that's a stereotype, like people who are blind or visually impaired can't live independently. They have to rely on others. And to an extent, we do rely on other people to help us. But like, I have to rely on people to get from point A to point B because I can't drive. That's one way I'm dependent on other people. But I use Uber so I can get to and from somewhere if I need to, right? Uber allows me to be independent. I know one of the organizations for the state of Texas, they had orientation and mobility training. So whenever I went to college, they said, okay, do we need to get O&M training so you can know the bus routes and yada, yada, yada. I didn't. I should have. But I was like, oh, I'm used to this. I've adapted. I'm good. Going back, if I did it again, would I do O&M? Yes. But I was like, oh, I didn't fully accept that part of myself. I was like, I've lived my whole life. I've got by. It's fine. But what I'm saying is, every person who's blind or visually impaired, there is a spectrum, and some things may be harder to do than others. But yeah, we can live independently. We can cook, right? They have cooking classes for people who are blind or visually impaired. Cane training, all these kinds of things to allow them to live independently and work. Remember, every single person is going to be different, but don't assume it's like a one size fit all. Like no one can't, or everyone can. It is a case-by-case basis. I can't cook to save my life, not because of my vision. Although it is hard for me to read like the burners on the stove. I can't read the numbers unless I lean all the way over the stove, which is scary because I don't want to burn myself on the burners. But so like some things are harder, but I can cook, even though I burn most things. But it's not because I can't see. It's just because like, listen, cooking is a talent. Like to know, oh, this needs more seasoning, let me just pour this stuff on, or know what flavors go with what. I don't have that gift. I've caught my stove on fire twice. Okay, so it's just not something I possess, not because of my vision. I hate cooking. What's something else? Cooking. Oh, sense of direction. I think one other stereotype is like, if they can't see, they don't know where anything is. But let me just say that I didn't have any orientation mobility training. I don't use a cane when I go places. Whenever I go to the mall, I will wait until I get like right under a store to like be able to read it, because I do have vision. I'm just nearsighted, right? So I have to go close and then I can read them, and I'm like, okay, cool. Well, someone like Molly Burke, for instance, she can like be in a mall and like she remembers where all these places are, right? She's like, oh, the, I don't know, Gucci store is over here to the left and this far down. Like she remembers. Her sense of direction is crazy. She's also been to orientation mobility training and been to the mall enough times. I am so bad about that. Also people who use canes can hear like which direction the cars are coming from, stuff like that. It's crazy because they adapt and they train themselves to do that. I have not trained myself to do that. I've just kind of got by. Like I've been fine. My sense of direction could be so much better. I don't know which way is north. I will go into this. I will park with someone, like my friend or whoever I'm with, park somewhere, and then go into the store, get like a couple of groceries, come back out, and I'm like, shoot, where is the car? Like I don't remember. It's terrible. That is not the case for every blind person, because they may have been trained to have certain senses to know like, oh, I know I turned left. I know it was like east of where the cars were coming from, stuff like that. I haven't trained myself to do that, right? So I am more of a visual person. Ironically, because I've tried to get by on my vision. I think that's why. Like I've tried to push myself and push myself and push to get by, whereas I could have trained myself to be more successful in using things like my sense of hearing for certain things, for like direction or whatever. So what I'll do, like if we park next to a pole, I'm like, okay, we parked by the pole and let's say it's Target, right? So I look at the Target sign and I'm like, okay, we parked by the letter T at the end of Target on like that aisle or whatever, if that makes sense, you know? If anyone does that, let me know. But like, okay, we're in the parking lot next to a pole and I can look and we're next to the letter T at the end of Target. So cool. So that's what I do. Again, these are not true for everyone, but I hope my experience and my thoughts on this help you all kind of break those stereotypes and know how to communicate with people who are blind or visually impaired, what to say, what not to say, things like that. These are just a few stereotypes, and I hope it was also interesting and kind of entertaining. If you have any more stereotypes or questions, please leave them in the comments down below. I will be more than happy to discuss them in an upcoming video. But other than that, I will see y'all in the next video. Thanks for watching.